Anakin has been having terrible dreams of a secret cave on Dagobah. He asks his Uncle Luke if he can go there to see if it's real. Luke says yes, but only if Tahiri, R2-D2, and the Jedi Master Ikrit go along. Anakin and his friends find more danger than they bargained for in the swamps of Dagobah. But they do find the cave. What is inside? And will Anakin be strong enough in the Force to face it?
Younglings, and welcome back to the Padawan Library, the Star Wars Junior Novel Podcast. I am Levi Peretic. With me, my co-host, Tim May. And yeah, and then this week, along with a very rhythmic Tim May, we're back to Junior Jedi Knights, so we have brought back Mel Lyon. Yay! Ooh, feeling the beat too.
Yeah, we're gonna start three-part harmony. We can just do that.
You know what? And this week,
that felt like a sneak diss at the fact that I love Pearl Jam.
No, it's not a diss.
This is gonna piss him off so much.
Oh my god!
But this week we're on a quest, so the three of us are a Padawan library called Quest.
that is truly embarrassing what you just did.
Is that like a tribe called?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that is.
You could do try something.
Have you even,
a triad.
Have you ever even listened to a tribe?
Yeah, name one of their songs.
That's embarrassing.
Wow,
that's actually the most embarrassing thing you've said on this show.
Ooh,
and by the way, I've said many embarrassing things, so I don't want to but I'm just saying that's come on, you can't reference one of that's one of the greatest musical artists of all time, and you're making a reference to them, and you can't even name one tribe song.
Wow,
I'm sure I've heard some, but I can't title them.
Are you sure about that?
All right, go listen to The Low End Theory, which is not a song; it's an album. Go listen to that album.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, so
Tim recommends already.
I recommend
Tim recommends
most of their records, except the Love Movement is not great, but outside of that. Anyway.
Doesn't recommend.
But anyway, we're on a quest today, and we're talking about Junior Jedi Knights, book number 4, Anakin's Quest, which, where's the book? Because I can't remember.
Rebecca Moesta. Come on. Come on. You keep forgetting her name.
I'm so sorry, I can't remember the last name. I'm bad with last names and first names. But we're also talking about another quest. A quest for Camelot? Is that?
It's actually Camelot. The magic sword, the quest for Camelot.
Oh yeah,
it has a European title, yeah, whatever.
Oh, okay.
It's actually not The Quest for Camelot, it's just Quest for Camelot. This is a 1998 Warner Brothers feature animation film. And it's of almost no note. It's not worth talking about, really, in terms of its content or its quality. We will talk about it a little bit.
A $40 million movie that made...
40 is a very low ball number. Wherever you're getting that number, it's wrong.
That's the Wikipedia page.
That's what the budget was to start.
But the box office was 38, so the movie is a commercial flop.
Yeah, it's much worse than that.
All right. Okay, so
I know you have a laundry list of things to talk about in this movie.
All right, this is a fairly notorious movie in animation circles, but let's talk. So I want to talk a little bit about the production and some crazy stuff about the studio, but first let's just talk about the movie. This is an Arthurian movie, I should say, because Arthur's barely in it.
Played by Pierce Brosnan.
Was going to be played by Christopher Reeve initially, but then his accident happened and was recast.
Yes. Pierce also, of course, King Arthur has a song in this movie, but they were just not thinking ahead of the Mamma Mia phase.
Right,
so they have Do you want to talk about his singing voice? Steve Perry of Journey.
Yeah. The songs. Yeah, Steve Perry. This movie is essentially, it's based on loosely, from what I understand, on a fantasy novel from the 70s. And by, I believe her name is Rebecca something hilarious. What?
Not Moist.
Wow.
Oh, no, Vera Chapman. I'm an idiot.
Okay.
The King's Damsel by Vera Chapman. And apparently this is, basically just takes the idea that there's this daughter of one of the Knights of the Round Table who has to earn her place among the Knights of the Round Table.
Well, Excalibur is stolen and lost in the Forbidden Forest. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask Tim a question. Is the Forbidden Forest, is that like an Arthurian thing? Or did she just make that up?
Well, I don't know if she made it up. I shouldn't, because it might not be in the book. Because from what I don't know much about the book. From what I understand, the book and the movie are very different. But Forbidden Forest, I would have to ask my brother, because he's the real Arthurian scholar.
Let's call him up right now.
But I don't. It's not super familiar to me. It might be in some version of it. The Arthur stuff that I'm most familiar with is the John Boorman movie Excalibur, which is a masterpiece, and I love Camelot,
the musical.
Camelot.
So good.
Yes, it is really good.
And I'm a big fan. I'll watch basically any Arthurian bullshit. I've watched a lot of pretty dumb Arthur movies.
Mm-hmm. There's so many of them. Yeah. A lot of them really suck.
Nobody's done it well since Excalibur, frankly, which is 40 years ago now. So, since then we've had First Night, which has its. I like Connery.
That's the Heath Ledger one, right?
No, that's Connery and Richard Gere.
There we go.
Plays Lancelot. It has its moments. Knight's Tale's not really Arthur stuff. I do like that movie.
Oh, sorry, Tim.
That movie's also pretty good. You don't need to apologize.
People like that movie. Yeah, people enjoy it. Yeah,
that's not a Arthur movie, though.
Yeah, right.
It's good, though. And then there was the terrible Anton Fuqua movie with Clive Owen and Keira Knightley.
Wasn't that just called Arthur?
It's called King Arthur, but
okay.
That one stinks. And then there's the Guy Ritchie movie, which I have not seen, but I'm sure stinks because it's directed by Guy Ritchie. So, but regardless, this one comes out in 98. This is when all the other studios are like, okay, well, Disney, Lion King changed everything. Even though obviously Disney had huge success with Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, but when Lion King came out and became the kind of hit it became, all the other studios were like, we need to start our own feature animation division. Fox I don't know if they bought the Bluth company, but they essentially bought the rights to the next several Don Bluth movies. Warner reopened its feature animation division, and then obviously DreamWorks starts in 95, 96, and they start their animation division around that time. 98's when you start to see the fruits of that labor. Of course, well, there was Anastasia in 97, but 98's when you get the three major feature animated movies of 98 are Mulan is the Disney movie, and then you get Prince of Egypt from DreamWorks and The Quest for Camelot from Warner. Now, I personally don't think any of these movies are that good.
That's so crazy, comparing those three, because it's like, one of these things is not like the other.
Oh.
Yeah,
well, DreamWorks had the advantage of having Katzenberg, who had just been at Disney, so he essentially just ports the kind of the infrastructure over.
Mm-hmm.
Hires a lot of people away from Disney, all that stuff. But then Warner, they were also working on Space Jam, but that was taking up most of the energy, obviously, because it's like a harder project in some ways. But this movie, originally it had a couple directors that left the project. You have... This is from the Animated Movie Guide by Jerry Beck, which was published in 2005. And this thing dishes so much dirt on this movie. I honestly am just going to read a lot from it. So just, all right. Sniffing the profits from Disney's mega hit The Lion King, Warner Brothers decided to enter the high-budget animation arena. Along with DreamWorks, the resulting competition with Disney generated a demand for animation artists and, for a while, year-round employment. In May 1995, it announced its first project, The Quest for the Grail, later changed to The Quest for Camelot, loosely based on the novel The Queen's Damsel by Vera Chapman. The studio put the film into production before the story was finished. Animators spent considerable downtime waiting for management to make up their minds. Crystal Kablunde, sorry if I mispronounced that name, she's the lead animator for the blind hero Garrett, we'll talk about him, told Jenny Peters in Animation Magazine, May 1998, this is an article I've been looking for, cannot find the full article, but here's a quote from the article, which came out the month the movie was released. So, it was top-heavy. All the executives were happily running around and playing executive, getting their corner offices, but very few of them had any concept about animation at all, about doing an animated film. It never occurred to anybody at the top that they had to start from the bottom and build that up. The problems were really coming from the inexperience of everyone involved. Those were people from Disney that had no idea that you just said, do it, and it gets done. It never occurred to them that it got done because Disney had an infrastructure in place, working like clockwork. We didn't have that.
Wow.
Crystal going off. All right. And then, all right. Creative differences forced co-director Bill Croyer and his wife, producer Sue Croyer, to leave the project in February 97. So that's only like a little over a year before the movie comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Delisa Cooper Cohen replaced Frank Gladstone, which at the top executives, while Warner Brothers entrusted their $120 million plus enterprise to a novice, Belgian animator Frederick de Chau, as the sole director. $120 million this movie cost.
Wow.
In 1998. It's notable.
So what is that in like today's dollars?
That would be like a $200 million movie at least, like something like that's wild. All right, it's probably just because a lot of it, like they had to redo a bunch of stuff. That's probably ultimately why. But like, yeah, and they also had to build up their own infrastructure of how they were going to do it, which. Because I'm sure Disney probably owned like the cap system and things like that. There was proprietary stuff. They would have to develop their own version of the technology. Anyway.
Yeah, I've read something about how the giant, who's all CGI, like they had to use like a live action software on that like something that would normally be used for CGI for live action. They had to adapt into animation. So. And
like what's interesting is when this movie comes out, it opens to $6 million. All right. And it comes out a week before, or 2 weeks before Mulan, or something insane. Like it's like right next to it, and Mulan, by the way, was like an underperformer at the box office. It didn't do that great.
Yeah.
So
this movie also opened against, I know, The Horse Whisperer, and I know that because I saw Mulan and The Horse Whisperer together at a drive-in when I was a kid. And then what else came out with it? There was something else that came out the same week as it, probably in the box office section here. Or the release.
Well.
I'll figure it out. Keep talking.
Box office.
Oh, Godzilla!
Oh, wow. Well, that's
yeah.
also dumb, because, yeah, whatever. And what's interesting is when the movie bombs, Fox, not the same studio, Fox Animation, they cancel Planet Ice, which is the next Don Bluth movie. That's canceled. And then Warner Brothers, the executive at this point was Max Howard, in charge of animation. He leaves Warner Brothers to go to DreamWorks, and he develops Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron or whatever, that movie. But then
which they're remaking, right?
Oh no, a sequel's coming.
Doing a sequel.
There's a Spirit sequel
Have
coming.
you seen that?
We saw the trailer with Raya and the Last Dragon.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? And it's completely different.
Has a substantial fan base? I guess it might. I don't know.
Well,
totally
it has a show on Netflix.
The horse girl population.
Yeah, it has a show on Netflix.
Sure, right. I'm too old for it.
Because all the major studios have found ways to intellectual property pretty much any type of toy. Jurassic World, a prime example, is you can put out dinosaur toys under the label Jurassic World and reap massive profit. Spirit is the same way. So if you go to Walmart, if you look in the toy aisle, all that's horses are Spirit. So Spirit is actually popular.
Wow. I mean, that movie's actually kind of interesting. It's one of those, it's kind of like Dinosaur, the Disney movie, where it's there was a version of it where it was going to be essentially a silent movie, and then the studio got scared at the last minute.
Yeah.
And just added talking to it. So I think they're talking in Spirit, right? Or am I
wrong? Totally. Yeah, but there's not a lot of humans. It's just the horses. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a narrator. Doesn't Matt Damon narrate the movie? He's not the voice.
Something like that.
That's
yeah.
so weird. Okay. DreamWorks, wild stuff. All right. And then, but anyway, and so then Warner closed down 2 of its studios, and they halted pre-production on The Zoo, an animated Aquaman movie, an animated New Gods movie, Jack Kirby's New Gods, and a movie called The Iguana Brothers. The only thing that was the Iron Giant was too far along in it, for them to cancel, but they cut the budget by a third.
Oh,
and so that's where
I was gonna say thank God, but because I don't want to live in a world without the Iron Giant.
That's a fantastic movie, and there's a interview with Brad Bird from an animation magazine in '99 where he talks about Quest for Camelot and how it affected the production, and here it is. Yeah, it was a hard sell that Brad Bird had to sell a skeptical executives at Warner Brothers who had been burned by the dismal failure of Quest for Camelot. I'm interested in showing that animated films are films first and animation second, Bird says. We want to have something for adults as well as children. Animation is storytelling. Hopefully Iron Giant can step in that direction. I just pitched, and then he pitches them an idea. There's another quote here that I'm... Give me 1 second.
Oh, well, while you find that, I gotta reveal Matt Damon is
He
Spirit.
is the horse.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I thought there was a narrator that's hilariously famous, but not for their voice. That's why I thought it was Damon, because I was it's funny to have him narrate a movie. But yeah, let's see here. Oh yeah. They had okay. The Disney model, this is Brad Bird talking, the Disney model is sort of a micromanaged thing where every single decision is combed over by a huge number of people. It works pretty well for Disney, but I don't think it worked well for Warner Brothers. They had more management than they had artists, almost, during Quest for Camelot. It was a very troubled production. I don't think Warner Brothers was ultimately satisfied with the result. When we came along, we had significantly smaller budget and shorter production schedule than Quest. They did leave us alone if we kept it in control and showed them we were producing the film responsibly and getting it done on time and doing stuff that was good. But yeah, no, basically, and he says that 3/4 of the team on Iron Giant came from Quest for Camelot, but a lot of them were very ill-used on that project. They weren't super experienced, but they were all very talented, and if you pointed them in the right direction, they could actually deliver. So I'm proud of the work of the team. But yeah, so it's basically
Wow.
basically just talk shit on Quest for Camelot, just like these clowns had no clue what to do with these people.
Yeah.
Well, like, something you notice that, like, initially about Quest for Camelot is, like, when the little girl Kaylee grows up, her face is a striking resemblance to Belle, in my opinion, from Beauty and the Beast. Like, she looks a whole of a lot like her.
Sure.
And then also, something else I noticed, there's the dragon character, who...
Well, there's a two-headed dragon. It's voiced...
Who may be a product of incest. Did you catch that line there?
I was pretty checked out. At a
They
certain point.
literally say, we're the reason why cousins shouldn't marry.
Well, that's,
And it's
that's
like,
kind
you
of
know,
funny, actually.
There's a lot of like, oh, we're gonna sneak jokes
Yeah.
into these kid films.
Well,
Yeah, because
That's-
the
that was-
taxi driver joke is like...
Well, I want to talk about that in general, because that's a whole thing that starts really with Aladdin, but then, like,
right.
culminates in Shrek. But, like,
Yes.
Right.
it's basically, like, because Aladdin, they're able to get away with it because they hire a comedian to basically do his act, and they animate based on that. And that works, partly because of the novelty of it, right? But then,
I think it really only works because it's Robin Williams. But yeah.
well, I think the novelty of it is a huge... I
Right.
think if
Well, at
Robin
the
Williams
time.
was in, like, 15 other animated movies where he's annoying as hell, and, like I do think...
Well, Fern Gully, but that's
Yeah.
a whole like thing.
I mean, that's also around the same time, actually. And he's not really doing, like, bits in that movie. He's just doing a voice, basically.
Right.
But
yeah, that was his like passion project.
Right. And I think, though, like... And they keep doing it to some degree in the Disney movies, like Nathan Lane in Lion King, or
Well, Eddie Murphy in Mulan.
Well, I was getting there.
Okay.
But then, like, the real thing is when Shrek comes about, and it's like every character is going to be a comedic persona that you're already familiar with. So Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, and it's like
John Lithgow.
Well, John Lithgow's not a comedian, but like, and not that Cameron Diaz isn't a comedian, but she was a comedic actress who had a type of character that she played, so that she's still playing in that movie, basically. So it's like a kind of, and by that point, then it becomes insane, like Shark Tale, and like it eventually gets to like this absolutely ridiculous point. With this movie, it's mostly more in that earlier Disney vein because it's really confined basically to this dragon character, which, by the way, we didn't mention, is voiced by Don Rickles and Eric Idle. Two voices that don't really work together. They should have. If they clearly wanted to be like, well, we know that, a lot of people's familiarity with the Arthur story is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Then why not hire two Python people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Eric Idle is definitely the guy that's most willing to do anything.
Right.
But
And literally anything, yeah.
But, like, I'm sure, like, John Cleese was in that fucking Crocodile Dundee, like, fake documentary that came out last year. I'm sure
they just probably couldn't afford him.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they could have gotten.
But they could have gotten, like, Michael Palin. Nobody knows, like, he's probably
Michael
pretty
Palin
cheap.
is the guy who's, like, most, like, respectable at this point. I would say. But as a huge Python fan, I love Python.
He was in Brazil. Come on.
Yeah, well, duh, Brazil.
But
that the
Brazil
guy
was-
that directed Brazil.
Yeah,
is the Monty
it
Python?
was
True.
also.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to
That was
check
dumb.
on you for a minute.
Anyway, so Eric Idle, in my opinion, he looks like his side of the dragon looks an awful lot like another Disney character. He looks like Figment from the Epcot ride Journey into Imagination, which, hang on.
I wonder who voices that character.
No, it's not Eric Idle. But the same year this movie comes out is the same year they closed Journey to Imagination and replaced the ride with the Eric Idle version. Like, that doesn't have Figment originally. So, like, the fact that, like, he looks like his character looks like Figment, and then that he, like, has this actual Figment connection is sort of spooky.
Do you think that he even remembers being in this movie?
No, absolutely not. I bet he doesn't even remember being in this like ride, even though he's been in 3 Disney World rides.
Well, I mean, he does a lot of crap. I was talking to my brother because he watched this with me, and we were talking just about, and this happens with everything, and you're gonna see it. You're seeing it happen now too. That what was in its time, like kind of like countercultural material, comedically, then 20 years later is, or 20 or 30 years later is regurgitated in terrible kids movies and commercials. Not just by the people necessarily, but like that style of comedy becomes so like mainstream eventually that like you see it in commercials. So it's like now, for example, if you're watching commercials, the style of humor, quote unquote, in commercials now is essentially like Mr. Show or something, or The State, you know, but it's like not like it's like that has risen so much to like what people think of as funny, even though it was very weird comedy in its time. And this is what this is what you see in Quest for Camelot with Monty Python, obviously. So it's like that's like the most obvious example because that stuff so permeated everything, especially that movie, but like really them in general, that it's like you get by the 90s all of like you get, first of all, some of the more unscrupulous members just, you know, in everything, and like doing terrible versions of old bits that they did in everything, and then, you know, and that style of humor is, it becomes, even though we love the Austin Powers here, but it becomes this kind of much more obvious mainstream version of it, which is Austin Powers, Mike Myers, Mike Myers is like the evolution of Monty Python. He's still very funny, but it's not like, it doesn't have like the socio-political like wit or whatever. But it's like, but it's like I just find that interesting, and it's I guess, and this is also. Do you think? I actually think he might remember being in this, Eric Idle, because do you think this is when he's like, I should do a fucking Broadway show based on Holy Grail?
It could be,
maybe
because like.
Because he saw how successful this was.
This is not... Well, no, but he might have... But he...
or how easy it was, at least,
It's not that long before. It's just... It's of interest. That's all I'm saying.
Because it's around the same time, you know.
That's not... Well, it's a little later. It's like 4 or 5 years later. Well, Spam-A-Lot, I'm talking about people.
Yeah, I would know what you're talking about.
That's enough time.
Yeah.
Well, our listeners might not know.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, Spam-A-Lot. But can we talk about Lord Ruber, voiced by Gary Oldman, for a moment?
One of the weirdest character designs.
And like the introduction of this character too is like baffling.
Because like all the other characters on the round table look like normal human beings, and then you get to Lord Ruber, who is like bug-eyed and his eyes are twitching, and like you don't know the origin point of the hair on his head. It just falls off.
His eyebrows are insane. I mean, Oldman's having fun. Like, his performance is okay. Like, he's certainly the most engaged vocally, I would say, of anybody.
Yeah, it does shine through.
He's a little nuts in this movie.
I mean, you know, this is also peak wild man
yeah, because he's just coming off of Air Force One.
Yeah, and
too.
Fifth Element and all those wild ass performances. So like,
Fifth Element, another character with wild hair. So,
so yeah, no, like I'm not surprised. Like he hadn't just like developed into just like, I'm here and I'm mumbling and I'm an old man.
Yeah.
Who I like, by the way, I think he's still a good actor, but I just saw Mank. He's great in Mank.
He's great.
But I was like...
But this was 98 was not a great year for him because he also had Lost in Space come out this year. So like,
and that was it. That were the only 2 films he did.
That's surprising. He used to be in a lot of movies around that time, so that's strange. But he was... That movie, Lost in Space, that cast is one of the weirdest casts. If you look, first of all, William Hurt as a lead, and I love William Hurt. He's like the lost, forgotten leading man. But I love '80s William Hurt. You know, Broadcast News, one of my favorite movies. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I was just like, why isn't there a Star Wars book with the word broadcast in the title? Because I want to force you to watch that movie. But Yeah, no, so I'm a big fan of his, but then, like, Matt LeBlanc, one of his only, like, movies, it's like that and Ed, right? Like, aren't those,
Yeah, that's it. That's like it.
like, and he just does TV, basically, now. I don't even think he makes
he was trying to
movies.
be really serious in this movie, too. Like, he's, like, the character is not funny at all.
Isn't it Heather
is, like,
Graham, right?
Heather Graham.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, I'm all off the top
Mimi
here.
Rogers.
Okay.
Jared Harris is in this movie, too.
Oh, I came.
he plays old man Will Robinson. So.
Wow. Who plays Will Robinson?
Will Robinson.
Is it anybody or just a kid?
I don't know who the kid. Oh, okay, Jack Johnson.
Yeah, a kid. So,
And this was his only movie
well,
too.
you know, a bad experience, I'm sure. I was like, I mean, Lost in Space I was never into Lost in Space. I watched it occasionally, but the thing is, when it's flattened, and you're a kid in the 90s and early 2000s, and it's flattened, and you can watch Lost in Space reruns or Star Trek reruns, it's like, it's clear one is better than the other, so you're like, you know. So anyway.
I was really pumped for Lost in Space, the movie. Speaking of embarrassing things, I really wanted that movie to be good.
I mean, I like
that
space
robot.
movies. There's nothing...
Robot was so cool, so I wanted like Robot to be good.
I haven't
so.
seen it in, I guess, 23
Yeah.
years, so I can't really tell you. I remember, I did not go see it in the theater. I think I saw it on video, but I remember it wasn't a big deal that the first Phantom Menace trailer was in front of that.
Okay, all right.
Or was that... I know Meet Joe Black, it was in front of that for sure.
Let's see here.
But-
I don't know. Yeah, probably can't find. There's probably not on the Wikipedia page or anything. So
Yeah, who cares?
Why would it say that on the Wikipedia page?
That's the... Well, I mean, if that accounted for some level of its box office, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Totally.
Yeah. There's nothing to talk about with this movie. I thought, like, the story that it sunk an animation studio, and they made Iron Giant, and really, to be real, since then they have not ever really made another animated movie. Technically, they made the Lego movie, but that's, like, kind of its own studio, like a separate sub-studio, so it's like, this essentially killed feature animation at Warner, which was never a huge part of their business. They never really did features, obviously, but it's just notable and weird. Like, you'd think that of the potential Disney competitors that emerged, they would be one, just because they have a legacy of animation at the company, that they would have been one of the ones that really stuck around, but they did not. Like, now, DreamWorks... obviously is now a kind of a different thing because it's just owned by Universal now, but like the animation, I mean, it's a separate company from the original DreamWorks, which doesn't really exist at all anymore other than as a name. But like, I think there's like DreamWorks obviously had a super successful run, and then Fox reworked after the Bluth stuff crashed and burned, and they like developed like Blue Sky Animation and made like those terrible Ice Age movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. But like
very successful.
Yeah, they're terrible.
All like 12 of them.
I think there's 4.
Is it 4? Or I think there might be
there's
5.
way more than 4.
I think there have to be 5.
There's like at least 6.
No, there's not.
There is 6 because they have dinosaurs. Like,
well, Dawn of the Dinosaurs.
That was, like, the
only
one.
the third one. I feel like I worked at a theater
There's
when
no
one
way.
of them came out. I think the Meltdown. What?
I googled how many ice ages have there been, and Google is telling me 5, but they're claiming actual ice ages. Like,
Oh, okay, that's funny. Yeah. No, it's. I think the first. I remember the Meltdown came out when.
oh my god, it's 6.
it's 6! I told you guys!
Is it 6?
We've had more
List
Ice Age
them.
movies
List
than
them.
actual Ice Ages.
Yes, we have. We've had more Ice Age movies than Ice Ages.
I want to hear the titles. Let's go.
Ice Age 2002. Ice Age, the Okay, hang on. There may be a short in here which screws everything up because there's Ice Age, The Meltdown, 2006, and then also in 2006, No Time for Nuts.
That's a short. That's a short.
Yeah.
100.
Okay, well, there's still just as many Ice Age movies as actual Ice Ages.
Right.
We have 3 Dawn of the Dinosaurs from 2009, Continental Drift from 2012.
Is that like a Tokyo Drift reference?
No, I mean Continental Drift. Like,
yeah.
It's an actual, like, Ice Age reference.
And then from 2016, Collision Course.
Okay, Continental Drift is the one that came out when I worked in a theater.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So yeah, it's 5 then.
Yeah, it's 5.
All right.
No
I
Time for
remember the
Nothing.
last one did insanely well internationally. Like I can't remember specifically, but it made like an insane amount of money.
2016 was a weird time.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
Let's see. Yeah. Holy crap. Ice Age Collision Course, the last one, had a budget of $105 million, and it grossed $408 million. Insane money.
Tim is speechless. Wow.
All right, that's not as much as I quite thought, but it still seemed like too much when you read it. Because like when I was thinking in my head that it made $1 billion or something, but like even though when you read it though, I was like, the 5th Ice Age made that much money? Okay. Well, they haven't even made a 5th Shrek yet. Imagine what that's going to do.
I know, right? That has to happen.
I mean, is that in the works? Is that real?
It's gonna happen. I don't care if it happens because Shrek is bad and has always been bad. But but I can't imagine it won't happen, especially because like losers our age are like obsessed with memes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway.
That would actually be interesting to see what a modern Shrek movie would be like. So.
Yeah, I would probably have like embarrassing references to memes.
So many.
Without a doubt.
So many.
Without a doubt. What do you think Mike Myers thinks of all that?
I don't think he knows about it.
Do you think he's seen like?
He does not strike me as a person who
Shrek
even owns a computer.
Yeah,
he seems like the
right.
kind of guy who's just like, I got rich a long time ago, and like, I don't need to engage with modern technology. Which, by the way, that's what I would do. But I'm not even criticizing him for it. But it's just like, I can't imagine. Like, he just seems so detached from popular culture in general.
Totally lines up with his like Gong Show character.
By the way, that show is fantastic. We talked about
still on?
No, it's not.
I feel like this is like where the most Gong Show starring Mike Myers appreciation has happened.
This might as well be a Gong Show podcast.
We talked about it like 6 times, I think.
Well, whenever we do our Austin Powers podcast, we'll integrate more Gong Show content into it.
Episode Gong Show podcast. I just watched an old SNL from '94 with Charlton Heston hosted. Because I heard there was a lot of good ape stuff in it, and I'm a huge Apes fan. And it has an insane cold open, by the way, like where like the whole studio, where Charlton Heston falls asleep in his dressing room, and then he wakes up, and the entire studio is apes, and they do the entire opening credits with apes, and it's like starring like Urkel,
oh my goodness,
Cornelius, like, and then it's like. Musical guest, singing human Paul Westerberg. Like, I was laughing so hard. Anyway, so, but I forgot that Myers was still on the show at that point, because this is like 94. It feels a little late for him to have been on the show. But he had a lot of very funny bits in that episode. There was this thing where he was like a European pitchman for like a weird European toilet or whatever. Super funny. I was laughing so hard. I was like, Mike Myers, what a delight. I say this, but I actually forced myself to finally see The Love Guru a couple years ago, and it is as bad as advertised.
It's so
I wish
bad.
it was good. There's like little moments, like there's like a stray joke here or there. I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Right.
But because there's no momentum, you don't laugh. You know what I'm talking about? There's no momentum in the storytelling, so you can't laugh, but I can just not acknowledge, I was like, that is a good joke. Like, and it's very frustrating, because I'm just like, it's not even a terrible idea for a movie, because I thought it was going to be way more fucking racist than it was. And it's not really.
It's still really pretty racist.
It's not.
But
He's not playing. He's
It
a
could be
white
way
like
worse.
guru guy. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a worthy subject of satire. I just think that, and the movies like I thought I was under the impression that he was playing like someone in brownface or something. I just had no idea what the movie was, so it was a little less. It was a bit of a come down. I was like, okay, well, this isn't quite as bad as I thought. But then like, you know, this was also during that period when they were like, you know what? Because he's been funny in a couple of sketches on SNL, our next great comedy star is Justin Timberlake. And it's like, he's a singer. He's not that. He's funny in the right context. He is not funny on his own at all.
He's funny on SNL. Give it up for Homeless
He
Bill.
plays the weirdest character in that movie.
Well, I love
too.
his name. The name is amazing. Jacques Lecoq. Incredible name.
Yeah, it's a funny character, but
he's not funny.
he doesn't pull through. No.
I think he's fine in some dramatic performances. Obviously, I love him in Social Network, but it's just kind of like this, like it was this like delusion everybody had because the Lonely Island could make him funny in 2 minutes. That oh well, he's the next great comedy star. I was like, no, like he's just like a very good pop singer, and let him be that, you know. But then he's like, whatever. I don't even want to get into it. But
well, Love Guru.
We're turning into a Love Guru podcast.
Also, embarrassingly, like repeats Austin Powers jokes verbatim in like the most cringy way ever. So
it's a disaster. I mean, again, there's like the only thing that I remember thinking is actually like really funny was the hockey announcing team, which is Colbert and Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're great. Like, I was like, just this should have been like a hockey comedy. Let's do that.
Right.
And like have them in the whole fucking movie. That would have been great. But whatever. I don't know. He's one of the most fascinating famous people of my lifetime is Mike Myers. I just think about him all the time, so it's fine. I guess we should do that Austin Powers podcast.
I don't know. The episode by episode review of the Gong Show sounds fascinating.
Oh yeah, that's for exactly 0 people.
Especially because the show, I think, is like so hard to find. Like,
I mean, I'm sure you
streaming.
can find it. It's not that hard.
But we'd be like constantly like critiquing the judges and like disagreeing with the judges and been like, no, this should have won. Like that was the talent. Like
we're 40 minutes into this podcast.
Yeah, we need to start talking about this book.
All right, there's a lot to talk about. So when we get don't watch Quest for Camelot. It's trash. Next week,
watch Raya and the Last Dragon, a similar concept movie but done better.
I need to see that. It's not Cinemark is beefing with Disney about something, so it's not playing at my theater. Which
that sucks.
I mean, I'm probably on Cinemark's side because I'm sure Disney's like dicking them on percentages or something.
Yeah, totally.
But I would still like to see the movie, and I don't want to watch it on Disney Plus for $30.
Oh, hell no. Right.
No.
So
we saved $10
I'm coming down
going
there for a recording at some point in the next couple of weeks, so maybe I'll come down a couple hours early and go see it by myself.
I would totally see that again.
All right. Well, anyway, next week is Vader's Fortress, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to watch this Australian movie called Fortress that you can find on YouTube.
Okay.
We can't do
from 1985. It's I believe a school teacher and her students get there's a bunch of robbers come and lock down or like take them hostage, and they're wearing Santa Claus masks or something. Sounds crazy. All right.
Great.
So you can find it on YouTube. Just search Fortress Australia 85. There's another Fortress from 1985 the French movie. It's not that. So just,
okay, all right, good to know.
I'll send
watch
you
the YouTube
link.
video and they're speaking French. That's not it.
And it's only like 85 minutes, I think. So everybody have a good time. Watch a good Australian genre movie. And when we get back from our break for this episode, we will be talking about Junior Jedi Knights number 4, Anakin's Quest by Rebecca Moesta.
When we get back.
Shrimp on the bobby.
Welcome back to Padawan Library. I'm Tim May, here as always with Levi Peretic.
Hello.
And as always for the series we're discussing this week, Junior Jedi Knights, Mel Lyon.
Hello.
And it's been a while since we talked about this series because we had our hilarious...
Like 3 whole weeks?
Well,
actually, it's 4 weeks.
Might
my
even be
goodness.
5. Didn't we miss 2 weeks in there?
Oh my
Oh yeah, we
goodness.
did miss. Yeah, we did miss 2 weeks. So actually, it's like 6
yeah,
weeks.
It's been a while
because we had to do 4 Adventures in Mod Space books.
All right, yeah, it's been quite a bit. So,
Well, it felt like 3 weeks.
True.
No.
actually,
Great to be back.
So this book starts the second half of the series, and it begins the stewardship of Rebecca Moesta, who is, or at least at this time, well, I don't know if she still is married to him, but I didn't. That's your responsibility.
I think they're still together.
They're
yeah.
still together.
Okay, good,
Yeah,
good. I'm happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Married to Kevin J. Anderson, very famous Star Wars expanded universe boy from this time. Wrote the Jedi Academy trilogy and edited all those short story collections. And now, I think is mostly known now for co-writing seemingly very bad Dune sequels. So, no shots, Kevin. I'm sorry.
Well, this book is
Come on the
dedicated
podcast,
to
Kevin.
him. Well, she dedicates the book to him. It says, to Kevin J. Anderson for showing me that all of my dreams were within reach.
Oh,
So sweet.
that is that's
sweet.
legitimately heartwarming. Yes.
It is. And
as like an ignorant plebeian, like I didn't know that they were married.
I didn't either.
And so I was like, oh, that's cute that she just like dedicated this book to Kevin J. Anderson.
So,
And then no, but it's even sweeter that they are married.
I'm going to read her about the author too. Moesta is how we're saying the last name.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
What would you say?
That sounds good to me.
All right, Rebecca Moesta Anderson knew she wanted to be an author since her early teens, but it wasn't until 6 years ago that she began writing in earnest. Rebecca has worked on numerous Star Wars projects with her husband Kevin J. Anderson. She created and wrote the young adult novels in Young Jedi Knights series and 2 high-tech pop-up books. She has authored several science fiction stories, both on her own and with her husband, and has co-written 3 science fiction fantasy novels under a pseudonym. Born in Heidelberg, Germany, to American parents, Rebecca was raised in Pasadena, California. After receiving a master's in science, a Master's of Science degree in Business Administration from Boston University. She worked for more than 7 years as a technical editor and writer at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, a large government research facility in California. Rebecca has one son who keeps her busy nearly every minute that she doesn't spend writing. Rebecca and Kevin's Wordfire website may be reached at www.wordfire.com, which
it's still a website, and they have like I looked it up on my phone. They have like a mobile, like a mobile like website or whatever.
Shouts to...
And they've
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say they have really cute photos on there.
Yeah. Were you about to say shouts to Wordfire?
Yes, I was. Shouts to Wordfire.
Yeah. Shouts to Wordfire.
Anyway, so they wrote the Young Jedi Knights books together, which obviously is the most directly connected to this. I want to know what those high-tech pop-up books are.
Yeah, I
that
wonder what
sounds
those are
so
too.
cool. I bet it's like those like interactive ones, but like probably with like something electrical in them.
Pre-97. This book, by the way, came out May 7th, 97. So right before the special editions came out, this book came out.
Well, that's after the first one, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first one comes out in February.
I did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
For sure it came out in February, maybe even January.
all right. All right. Well, and shouts to them for having a website already in '97.
Yeah, right.
Man,
so ahead of their time.
Genre writers were way ahead of the game. But
yeah.
she takes over. She notably in her acknowledgments at the beginning, she does not thank. What was the first writer's name?
Is it
Nancy Richardson?
Nancy Richardson,
right?
No, thank you to Nancy. Come on, Rebecca. Wow. That's my only criticism.
No mention of Nancy whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh, classic only pitting women against each other.
Only a.
Anyway. I mean, listen.
I didn't even think that was gonna come through.
Anyway, that's a great joke. So, yeah, no.
This book
is very much the beginning. It's like a new pilot, essentially, for the second half of the series because Anakin's coming off of. Some sort of break where he went home.
Yeah, it's like a 3-month break, I think.
Yeah, summer break.
Or was it only a week?
I don't know, but at the very beginning of the book, Han is driving him back to Yavin.
Driving?
Yeah, driving. That's what dads do. So he's driving him back on the Falcon. He's trying to be hey kid, if you're not ready to go home, to go back, you can stay home with me and your mom. And Anakin's no, Dad, I have to be at the temple.
Dear old Dad, Han Solo.
Yep. Good Dad, Han Solo.
Oh,
Dill.
Remember when I used to work for international space criminal pimp Jabba the Hutt?
Right, but now he's gone straight. He's a family man.
By the way, that's fine. That's what Star Wars is all about. I just imagining it's weird. It's hard to strike the balance for post Jedi Han. I feel between just him being a total backsliding, he's back to his old ways, like they do at the beginning of Force Awakens or something. Or if they make him just too much of just he's a sweet guy. You gotta find a balance, where he's.
You can be both.
Well, Jedi Prince really makes him too sweet of a guy. Where he's
Sky House, yes.
His Sky House, and he's cooking and cleaning.
Yeah, he's cooking and cleaning, and he goes to Luke, and he's
really
I want your sister's hand in marriage, but I needed your permission, Anakin at one point in this book too. What does he call his dad? You were laughing about it. He's my dad.
Oh, he says my dad is the hottest pilot in the galaxy, and I'm damn
That's
right
true.
He is.
Undeniable.
He absolutely is the hottest.
Oh. So, also in the new canon, you know what job they gave him that pre-Force Awakens, what he did for a living?
No.
He's the commissioner of some non-pod racing league.
Okay, that is baffling.
It's in space, so it's not so
like the Kessel Run, but not the Kessel Run.
That kind of thing. But it's Han Solo as the commissioner of a sports league. Fuck off! That's not what he would do.
No way! No way!
Yeah. Meanwhile,
he's only in it for the money.
Meanwhile, Leia is trying to set up the New Republic,
and
and Han is off gallivanting in a racing league. No wonder his son turned to the dark side. His dad's obviously doing shady shit.
Oh yeah, commissioners of sports league,
Conja Club or whatever.
Yeah, he's getting involved with Conja Club.
Oh, don't talk about Conja Club. All right. Okay, so yeah, they're returning. We don't get any real time at the beginning here with Anakin, but outside of the temple, they return to the temple pretty quick. He talks to Luke, and
Luke is just because there's something bothering Anakin, and Luke's we gotta talk. But come to my office later. I'm just too busy with all these kids.
He's very harried in this book. Luke is just I want to devote some attention to Anakin, but I didn't know it was going to be so hard to train all these damn kids. You know,
he's in way over his head here.
Yeah, it's like I think he should replace Jeff Garland. He should play the Jeff Garland part in the new Daddy Daycare direct-to-video movie. It should be
Jedi Temple Daycare something.
I don't know. I'm tired.
So, Anakin is tired too after his ride with dear old dad. So he turns in for the night on his sleep pallet.
Oh yeah, yes. I was so delighted by this.
Sleep pallet, and then he has a dream, and Sheev Palpatine calls him in this dream. Sheev is beckoning him in this dream, and Vader's there, and it's a nightmare basically Anakin has, and he's haunted by this dream. And I don't remember much of that dream, but then
it's Sheev and Vader, and it's just like
it's the whole he touches Leia's tummy, right?
Yeah.
This is from Dark Empire. I actually have some EU knowledge to drop here.
So this is a thing that actually happened?
Yes, in Dark Empire.
Why was he there?
Oh, well, there's a clone.
Yeah, but why... is the clone sneak in, or are they having
No, she's not having the baby.
Dinner together?
She's just pregnant at this time.
Yeah,
so she's involved
yeah.
in the action of the story. I haven't read Dark Empire in a few years. This is a comic book from the early 90s, and she's pregnant with Anakin at this time, and Sheev has her I think has captured her or something.
Okay.
And touches her belly and is just like, I'm evil and your child will be evil. Something like that.
Baby snatchers.
When they referenced it, I remembered vaguely that it happened. I can't describe the full situation to you, but it's this ties directly into a fairly famous, actually in some ways infamous story, which is Dark Empire, which is Dark Empire, the first miniseries, which is by Tom Veitch, and the artist was Cam Kennedy, I believe. First one is very fun, even though it has the dumb thing of an Emperor clone. But
wasn't so dumb. Wasn't so dumb then.
Who would ever?
No, it was pretty dumb then too. No one liked it. By the way, there's a reference. People liked the book, but nobody liked that idea. There's a reference to the clone Emperor. I can't remember, in one of the Timothy Zahn books, probably one of the later ones, where it's somebody's like, oh, well, what about the Emperor's clone? And it's just somebody says, I don't even believe that ever happened, or whatever. Dan would know more about this, but
I don't think they exist.
So anyway, Anakin somehow has found out about this moment, and that's causing Anakin to be like, oh no, just like my name, am I inherently evil? He keeps having this issue that he's inherently evil.
And so he has also this kind of... Does he have the vision of... He remembers being told about Luke going into the cave on Dagobah, right?
No, well... I don't know how they get there. Hang on, let me check my notes. We know Tahiri shows up.
I think Luke tells them.
Yeah, Luke tells. I think Luke tells them about it, and that's how he's just like, I want to go to this.
Right.
We'll get to that, but first, though, they go to meet Old Peckham.
Because something we've learned about the Academy is that all the work is it's like a co-op. We're all in this together. So
actually,
the student,
I like that as a conception of the Jedi Academy.
It's a super cool idea, and practical child rearing too. You know.
So Tahiri and Anakin are sent to unload a ship, Old Peckham ship. Old Peckham has just landed. They have to unload the ship. They're unloading all the crates. They got R2-D2. Anakin's like, can R2 help us? And Luke's like, well, I think I can spare him for a few moments. So R2's got the manifest. They get all the boxes off. that are on the manifest, and then they're just like, wait, guys, there's another box that wasn't on the manifest.
Oh, like Ethan from Lost.
Ethan wasn't on the manifest.
He wasn't on the manifest. All right, for our Lost heads out there, that bit is replayed in so many previously on Lost things, where it's Hurley saying, like, he wasn't in the manifest. Like, I remember when I showed the show to my brother, which was right after it ended, we watched it all in a row with him, and so we kept seeing the same, like, previously on stuff all the time. And then I think in, like, season 2 or 3 even, that's referred back to again in one of the things. So then anytime, like, a clip from a way back, like an older episode came up, we started saying it was Manifest Destiny.
Oh, wordplay!
Oh, delightful times. All right, continue.
So they find this box and they open it, and a boy is in it, and they're like, "Oh, boy,
a teenage boy." Yes, he's referred to endlessly like this teenage boy.
Yes, because he's a little older, a little more rugged, a little more stocky.
Yes, Oldar is a little older than the kids.
I would call him Old Dear.
Old dear.
He's old dear.
So anyway,
but that's true. He is, I guess, older. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. So he is a kid from Coruscant. His parents are pilots, and they're always so busy doing, like, piloting things, and they expect him to be a pilot too.
They were pilots for the rebellion, so they're like heroes, you know.
Mm-hmm. And but he doesn't want that. He doesn't want that at all. He's decided he wants to be a Jedi. So he's
like,
snuck
let me
on
talk to Luke
Puckum
Skywalker.
ship.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So,
hey,
which, like, I imagine this kid.
Let me talk to Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Bring me to Mr.
I kind of pictured him as. I kind of pictured him as, like, AJ Soprano.
Oh, yes!
Very, very, like, so what, no fucking ZD? Because he's got the long chestnut hair that he's always, like, tossing around. Because that's what they do in these books.
They're always talking about hair in these books.
Oh, I love AJ.
So they're like, all right, we're going to go see Luke Skywalker right now. So they go find Luke. Luke is teaching a lightsaber
Seems to
class.
be having a rough go of it, too. Just like, these kids!
And Tahiri and Anakin to come in, they're like, hey, there's this boy who was on Puckum ship, and he, like, and Anakin's like, he always calls him, like, Master Skywalker. He won't call him Uncle Luke.
That's like, I want to be respectful.
Yeah, and Luke's like, I am so busy right now. Feed him and bring him to my office later. I am so busy.
I'm teaching a class. Do you see all these damn children?
So they feed him.
Maybe Jedi should be celibate. I can't handle this.
So they deal with Older a little bit. They take him to lunch. Then they take him to Luke's office later. And Luke, he's like, all right, you have to get the test. I'm going to test you. So basically, he just puts his hand up to his face. You know, and he has his hand to Older, and Luke says the hardest thing. He is like you failed the test. Like, if you had any spark of the Force, like, there'd be a resistance to me trying to invade your mind, and there was nothing with you.
He says, like, even my youngest students here have something.
It's a very weird description. Like,
it's chapter 5.
All right. Yeah, I know.
Well, you look for that. Luke, though, who has too many students, accepts Older into the temple.
He does call his parents first, which is also an interesting, funny scene.
What'd you say?
The parent calling scene is so funny.
Which one? What?
When they call his parents.
Oh, okay. Let me read what he says to him first, though. The Force is with you, Luke Skywalker said to Older. As it is in all living things. He shook his head slowly. But I did not find the Force strongly in your mind. There was no answering push against the Force in me. Even our weakest Jedi trainees have that answering strength in their mind. So weird. And then,
That's like the most polite way of saying it. You have a weak mind. Like,
basically, Aldir's like, oh, come on, like, give me a chance here. And he's just like, hey, you can stay for 3 months, but if you can't move a pebble by the end of 3 months, I gotta send you away. Like, but maybe that, but if you can, he says, but if you can move a pebble, you can fully enroll. He's just like
full ride scholarship if you can move the pebble.
But so then they call his parents, and his parents are worried, obviously, because he ran away from home. And they're like, well, I'm glad he's with you, Luke. Jesus Christ, like.
They say here, I hope you know how to handle him better than we do, Master Skywalker. He's a wild.
So, and by the way, like, Alder, apparently, him and Anakin and Tahiri have all gotten along really well. It just kind of,
they're best of friends. They
become friends. I don't get a sense there's any real camaraderie there. And then there's stuff later on in the book where it's just like, would they actually be friends? I don't. All right.
I don't know. By the end, we'll discuss it, but I don't know.
So, at this point, though, Anakin talks to Luke and is just like, hey, like, I'm worried about this vision I had and, like, this dream, I mean, and Luke's just like, Master Yoda sent me into this cave once, and it really helped me, figure out who I was. Doesn't tell him what he saw in the cave, I noticed, which I'm just like, that's a little, like, Obi-Wan sneaky of you, my guy. Like, you need to be a little upfront there with that. But
and the student becomes the master.
Always.
But anyway, Anakin's like, I want to go to Dagobah. And, like, Luke's like, oh, I have months of work before I have the time to take Anakin to Dagobah. But then Ikrit comes in, and Ikrit's like, yo, I'll take Anakin to Dagobah. And Luke's like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. Like, thank you, Ikrit. So, and then Tahiri, of course, she's like, I want to go. And then, like, they're like, well, we need somebody who knows the place. So R2, you're coming, and we're gonna go on Old Puckham
Wait a
ship.
minute, R2, who is that again? Is he was the barrel-shaped droid.
Yes.
By the way,
he likes to tweet. He tweets a lot.
Yeah, he tweets at what R2 tweets at some point.
I wish he would stop tweeting. Just chill.
Paying away, page 53. I know this is like jumping ahead.
140
of the story.
Characters is not enough.
R2 tweeted a suggestion.
Yeah, you know what? Never tweet R2. We want to hold you in esteem forever. All right.
Well, he can't anymore. They took him off of Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
R2 got banned.
No, you can't do that to R2. I should have. No. R2 is
so much for freedom of speech.
Oh my god, no.
Oh gosh.
R2 is great. I love R2, and R2 only tweets the best things. R2's the greatest tweeter there is. He just tweets like old red carpet photos from 1993. Like that's what he does. Like he's a force for good.
So anyway, they have to call Anakin's parents to get permission to go to Dagobah.
He's like, we gotta call your parents. Oh no, like
no wonder you never had time.
This is what happens. He's like, he says like, oh well, we need to talk to 2 more people, and like whoever he's with, his like second in command is just like, oh like who? And he's just like, I'm talking about his parents, Han Solo and Leia Organa. There's something very awkward. I'm like, you mean your 2 best friends? Like, what are you talking about?
Your sister and his
The image of Han. Hang on. Anakin stood with Tahiri and R2 in front of a large screen at the Jedi Academy Communications Center. On the screen, his mother's face registered alarm. Old Peckham is taking you to Dagobah in the lightning rod, Leia Organa said. The image of Han the image of Han put an arm around his wife. Hey, the lightning rod may look like a hunk of junk, he said, but I helped Peckham and his friend Zeke install a new hyperdrive motivator last week.
Those old rascals.
Mechanically, the ship is in pretty good shape. So, like, I love that Han is like, he recognizes that Peckham is like a true legend.
Spacer, baby.
Yes.
The ultimate spacer.
So they give him permission, of course, and off to Dagobah they go. And let's see here. Oh, when they're on the ship, this is where Ygritte reveals to Peckham that he is a Jedi. And before, Peckham just thought he was Anakin's pet, and that he blows everybody away. And Ygritte tells his life story.
Yeah. And by the way, Peckham is just like, gonna take some getting used to that this furry creature's a Jedi. And I'm just like, you know, like, there's aliens everywhere in Star Wars. Like,
right.
Like, it's not like and he's an old spacer. He must have encountered intelligent alien beings that were, like, small or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very
the Lurman or whatever.
Yeah. The Lurman.
Yeah.
We
that one episode of Clone Wars.
We don't want your war. But his story, he was part of his village. What did they made something, right? Like,
they were weavers.
Oh, that's right. And a Jedi master came to their village, and he was like, I'm looking for a student. And Ygritte, he was like nobody real special in the village, and he would just like he went out of his way to like make sure the Jedi had everything he needed, until finally the Jedi was like, you are, I want to take as my student. And Ygritte's like, well, okay. And then eventually Ygritte comes home once he's a Jedi, and there's this whole thing where these like hounds are about to eat like all the people, and Ygritte saves the town by using the Force to make them think that they're not hungry, and the hounds turn away. So he rescues the town, and he is celebrated afterwards.
So that's his origin story. We'll learn a little bit more about it a little later on.
Mm-hmm.
But they land on Dagobah. Dagobah, as you know, swamp planet, full of life. In its own way, as much life as Coruscant. Like, so, and they, by the way, we forgot to mention that, what's-his-fuck, Older stows away on the ship.
Oh yeah, he's there too.
And that makes
real good at stowing away.
They actually get off the ship, and they're about, and like Ygritte's like, we're going to do a lesson right now. And that's when Older drops out of like the storage compartment and lands in the swamp and like gets stuck in the mud, and a big furry snake is like trying to like eat him, and and like of course the children have to save him. This is non-consequential.
Consequential.
Yeah. But
Conja Club.
Tahiri, Master Tyani gave her boots before they went to Dagobah, and Tahiri's like, I'm not wearing those.
So, Tahiri apparently walks around barefoot. I was unaware of this. This was...
Really?
It's like from the get-go. Like,
remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think I retain all this stuff? Come on. All right.
It has been 6 weeks.
So. Yeah, that's a long time. Whatever. So she's like, this is her big thing, is that she hates shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So her whole character in this book, what she gets is that she learns to appreciate that sometimes you need to wear shoes.
Yeah.
You're right. You're totally. 100. That's her arc.
That is her.
For this is like shoes.
And they called like
let's get some shoes.
Yeah, the shoes are like described as being like a buttery rubber shoe. Like
she's just like I can still feel what's underneath. Like, it's just like I was just like, you know, like, man, like what kind of? I guess I just had shitty shoes. It's basically like.
Well, she did. They gave her blisters on her feet because they were made of like a hard
the sand
rubber.
people shoes. So
and like Tahiri's what, like 10, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's like probably 9 because I think she's younger than Anakin.
Yeah, but Anakin's like 12, right?
No, he's like 11, unless he had a birthday.
Okay.
I think in the first books they're like 10 and 9.
Sure.
Well, we all know that older is a teenager,
Yeah.
so he's much.
He's a rude teen. So,
Oh, but Tahiri also gets a cut on her foot, and that's also why she likes shoes.
That's why
If
she
we
has
don't
to
come
wear
back
the
to this
shoes.
topic.
All right, so I have here Older falls into the swamp, and then they pull him out, and Ikarit's like, well, I guess I have to include him in the lesson. And they tell Older that Ikarit is a Jedi Master, and Older laughs in his face.
he's like super disrespectful.
Yeah,
he's
like,
such a shit.
He's like a total shit.
Yeah, no, and even Anakin's just like, ooh, like.
Yeah. At one point, it does say, I think it's later in the book, at one point it does say, like, Anakin cringe.
Yeah.
So Older is cringy. Like, that's canon.
He just thinks he's so cool. Ikarit says something to him at one point, and before Anakin or Tahiri could make an angry reply, Ikarit spoke in a quiet voice. Perhaps we can believe the truth, the furry Jedi Master said, fixing his blue eyes on Older. Only if the truth is what we seek.
Oh,
and,
damn!
And of course, everybody in that cockpit is just like, "Damn, Older just smoked." Ikarit just smoked him.
Ethered him. So like, basically at this point though, they're like, "Okay, well you're here. Like, you want to get some training? Come along."
Mm-hmm.
And so they start heading out to the cave, and on the way they encounter big spiders. They fight the spiders, then they realize, wait a minute, these spiders plop down in the ground and they're the roots of these trees. That's that.
Yep.
And then they get to the cave.
I do want to mention about this spider is the spider on the cover here, which the covers are done by Eric Lee. He does all the covers.
Really good covers.
The spider is based off
very
of
Beverly Cleary vibes.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but these are based. This spider is based off of concept art that Ralph McQuarrie did for Empire Strikes Back, where originally Luke battled a big spider, and this spider was most recently reused as the ice spiders in The Mandalorian. So there's a connection here.
Which is an episode I liked, and all the people that shat on that episode go screw. All right.
Yeah.
Because that was the first Frog Lady one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would not like that episode? That's awful.
There was the whole thing about the eggs that people freaked out about.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. He ate, like, real, like, actual live things. Yeah. So why wouldn't he eat eggs?
It's complete nonsense. We don't need to get into it.
Yeah. And I also think Frog Lady needs a name. And so does her
well, they all get named eventually. Like, it takes a full
I'm sure Frog Lady's going to have her own
on that show to get a name.
I hear the big rumor today is there's a Mandalorian video game coming, so like that's the big
It's Frogger with the Frog Lady.
Ooh, that'd be hard. I'd be down for that game. Hot damn.
That's the kind of game
Frog Lady game.
All right.
Because you could like go from like running to like that
to
leap.
like the jumping. It'd be good.
Frog Lady rules. Anyway, they I don't remember how they escape the spider, but they do.
And then they get to the cave.
And they get to the cave.
And they get to the cave, and at this point, teen boy is, I'm just going to call him that. The teen is like, this just looks like any other cave. Like, I think your Master Luke was pulling your fucking leg, bitch. You little baby. I'm a teen and you're a baby.
Because he goes into the cave first, and then he comes out and is like, that cave was total bullshit.
Well, that's the great thing about it.
The agreement they make is that the three of them are all going to win.
He's this shit teen who just came off Haunted Mansion and was like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing is, like, you see what's inside of you, and he saw nothing because he is nothing.
And
you're nothing.
Oh, yeah, so good. My cane never diss. Okay, so, we don't need to get into it. And so he goes in, but then he starts to feel, like, stressed out because he's not seeing anything, but then he's like, when he comes out, he's just like, shit fucking sucked. And so then, and then Tahiri goes in, and she hears, like, Tusken Raider talk, and, like, she hears everything. It feels dry, and her hair, which has been super wet, dries, and, like, and she's, like, what was the thing that happens to her? She
sees her parents,
she
and then she sees her grandfather.
It's like the vision in Force Awakens. It's
Yeah.
So
and then she mentions like her grandfather. She thinks her grandfather was a Jedi too. Is something that she is mentioned in the thing as well.
Of interest. And she's from Tatooine, so I wonder who that could be.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Could it be
green eyes?
Could it be Obi-Wan fucking?
It could be. I find that more believable than she.
Well, there's like a human being there when it comes to Obi-Wan, so
yeah,
right.
I don't think he would, honestly. Like I've never bought any theories of that sort. Like,
well, not
outside after
the Duchess.
Well, the Duchess, of course, the Duchess.
Yeah, the Duchess.
I'm talking about after that, though. I just feel like there's no and then he's alone on Tatooine. I don't think he's like looking for anything out like at that point.
I don't know. Apparently,
the wrong places.
Tahiri's mom is also a barefoot lady, so maybe.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe
that's
a thing.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Anyway, I won't say that. All right, so then there was so she has this experience, and it's this emotionally overwhelming experience. She doesn't want to talk about it right away, and she goes in, gets out. So Anakin goes in, and Anakin sees a Vader-like figure.
Yep.
Who is kind of, but it's not like explicitly Vader, but a dark figure of sorts. And then a Jedi-looking motherfucker with a brown robe and everything. He's just like, oh, what's this? And then he turns to face him, and both of them have his face. So he leaves, and then they return to the ship, and they're having not the ship. They're camped out somewhere. They're not back at the ship yet. And then.
Ikrit.
We'll talk about Ikrit in a minute. There's a scene where Teen is just like, I don't believe you, like, clowns, like, nice try. And then they're like, let's get back to the ship. But Ikrit's like, one more stop. So then they walk out to a little hovel, a hovel that we might recognize. A hovel that used to belong to the one, the only, Yoda himself. So Ikrit goes in and is just like, this is very emotional for me, and you're like, why is he emotional? And he's just like,
he even like turns black.
Yeah,
his hair
turns black. He's just like,
colors.
I'm mourning Yoda. You know why I'm mourning Yoda? I didn't tell you before that the Jedi that came for me was Yoda himself. He was an incredible master. And it's like,
this reveal is crazy.
Right?
And it's like totally my reaction to this reveal. It's like, oh damn, like. And this is like so great for Luke, because then like Luke gets like another master to help him out.
Yeah. So it's because they were both trained by the same guy. So then they return. Old Puckham is like, there you guys are, finally, let's go. So they go home. And on the way back, you got the teen is stewing. He's just like, I'm going to show them I'm a teen and I'm going to be a Jedi. And then they get back.
Yeah, because at one point he says like he's just gonna like get a robe.
Or
like a belt or whatever.
I'm gonna wear a robe and a belt that will hold my lightsaber when I'm allowed to make a lightsaber. And he's just like, and that'll show everyone how serious I am.
He decided he would start wearing the robes of a Jedi right away with a belt that could hold a lightsaber. When he got far enough along in his training, then everyone would see he was serious. Yes, he decided he would show them all.
He's a serious teen. It's important.
Yes.
All right. So, and then Anakin tells Luke about his vision, And Luke's just like, I'm glad that you understand that, like, there's the potential for good and bad in all of us, and it's just about the choices you make. Like, which is kind of...
Oh, yeah, that was, like, a big moment, too. Ykrit telling them that, but that's fine.
Ykrit says that,
yeah. And, yeah.
So, it's like that, it's not about your parents, you know. He basically says, you know, your parents are nobody, you know. I'm just playing into the bit completely. All right, then they return and they're going to continue, and Luke, at the end, Luke says, Master Luke Skywalker walked up the ramp with Tion and Master Ykrit beside him. R2-D2 scooted up the ramp after them. You kids seem to be doing pretty well on your assignment, because they're all, like, working on cleaning Puckham's ship.
Yeah, they have to clean the ship from the swamp.
And I bet Peckham thinks these are a great bunch of kids.
Sure.
He's just
Puckham's
these kids are delightful.
This is a good class right here. All right.
I'm going to tell my buddy Han about how great his son is.
Just like, oh, we're so proud of our kids, you know? Old Spacer's done good. And so
he's gonna tell Zeke, you'd be like, you won't believe these kids.
These new Jedi trainees.
And Han and Puckham, they go out for drinks, and they're like, you know what? Yeah. Actually, chocolate milk, please. And you know what? I'll be a little bad tonight. Give me a double shot of chocolate in that. And then, we all learned a lot on Dagobah, Tahiri said, but I'm glad the adventure is over now. Luke, Tion, and Ykrit looked at each other. Luke chuckled. He put one hand on Anakin's shoulder and one on Tahiri's. Somehow, he said, knowing you two, I think you will have plenty more adventures to come. Behind him, R2-D2 gave a loud beep of agreement.
I love that that's the note we end on.
Thank you, R2. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, this series recognizes R2.
Maybe a little bit too much.
No, R2 can never be recognized.
I agree.
You're starting to sound like you're in the writer's room for the new trilogy right now, Mel, with your disrespect to R2.
I'm just saying, it's like, we know he's there, but it's like, I get it, it's for kids. It's just like, okay, we know what color everyone's eyes are, and what color everyone's hair is.
Well, sure, the barrel-shaped and all that.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. I like in this book, too, that, in the series so far, Anakin has, had to bond with R2, and, at first R2's just following him around, and then he's just like, oh, wait, he understood me, and we can, understand each other, and they have, a 1-beep, 2-beep system for yes and no.
I like to imagine there's a scene of Anakin watching from his office window at them, and he's just like uncle, like nephew, yes.
If I wasn't so busy, I'd be out there with them.
But I gotta think about all these other stupid kids. Why do I need to train them?
That's what happens when you open up a Jedi Academy, Luke.
Alright, so we made lots of jokes about this, but I actually really enjoyed this one. I think this is my favorite of the books so far.
Yeah. It's definitely a step up.
The whole Golden Globe mystery was not actually interesting, so that I'm glad that's behind us. And I think that Tahiri, obviously we joked about her only having the shoe thing, but otherwise, this was good character stuff, and even though I made fun of the teen, I enjoyed him as a new character, as a kind of a force of chaos thrown into this series here. And there was a lot more with Luke, even though doesn't go on the adventure. We got more of him, which is one of the things I complained about with the first three, is that there wasn't enough Luke. So I enjoyed that, especially the fact that Luke didn't go with them to Tatooine in the last book.
Right.
That drives me crazy. That have him establish more of a relationship with Tahiri so we can see how he is as a teacher to people that aren't his nephew would be good, especially, and that would make this stuff that we're making fun of even funnier. But anyway, I enjoyed it though. I liked it, and I think Rebecca's maybe a slightly better writer. They're very similar in terms of like weird, like over-explaining of some stuff, and then like speeding past other things.
Yeah.
But I maybe it's just I think that it's moved better, had a better pace. No shots at Nancy, who should have gotten a thank you in the acknowledgments. Rebecca, remember it. I hope there's a note somewhere on what's the website?
Word
WordPress.
Fire.
What?
Not yeah.
Their WordPress.
Wordfire.
Oh, Word
No,
Wordfire
WordPress is like
needs
its
to
own
have
thing.
at least one apology to Nancy Richardson somewhere on it in its databanks. Anyway,
Be like its own tab on the drop-down mobile menu.
our apology to Nancy Richardson.
Yes.
Anyway, I like this though. I'm gonna go 8 out of 10. I had a very good time with it.
You said 8?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's good. Mel, you go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna like summarize or review or whatever, but yeah, I enjoyed this one. It definitely is like a step up from the other ones. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead with 8 too.
All right.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna go higher than you guys. Yeah, I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna go 9.5.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
Setting the bar super high for this new author.
Vader's Fortress, Kenobi's Blade. These titles
Incredible titles.
They have
Yeah.
such good titles. And I'm flavoring my rating
Oh.
with Old Peckham.
Old Peckham.
Instead of like Old Bay, it's
Yep.
Old Peckham.
And he, of course, he has the Force. Like all living beings have the Force.
And here's something I want
That's
to.
such a great way to like diss someone. Like, ooh, I can feel the Force, as I do with all living creatures.
Pierce Peckham does not just show up in this book. He shows up in these books. He showed up in a short that was on Wizards.com called Rebel Jedi. He was in the Young Jedi Knights series, like all of them, and he gets mentioned in New Jedi Order Edge of Victory Part 1 Conquest.
Nice.
I don't know.
Mentioned only.
Is he not in the
It says
Jedi
next
Academy
time.
books?
No, he's not.
Okay, that's
So,
interesting.
Let's see here what they have to mention. Okay, because he has a Yuz Han Vong War section of his Wikipedia.
All right, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want spoilers for this great series.
Yeah,
Oh,
spoilers.
Zek, hang on, listen to this.
Oh, yeah.
After the Shadow Academy was defeated and Zek was redeemed from the dark side.
Okay, I knew that name sounded
Zeke?
familiar.
Zek?
It's Zekk.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would say
so it's not Han's friend Zeke. Who's
I think it might be though.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's the same spelling, yeah.
Oh.
I gotta see if Zeke has... Okay, Zeke has his own page. Alright, here. Alright. Zeke is a street-smart, Force-sensitive human male who befriended the Solo twins.
Yeah,
So-
because he has like a thing with Jaina.
Okay, alright.
Okay, but is he friends with Puckham and Han?
Yeah, I guess
I
so.
guess so.
Do they go drinking
Yeah.
together?
I guess so.
Wait, no. Well,
Oh,
I think
that-
you made up the
I
drinking
did. You're right
thing.
about
like,
that.
I don't think that was in this book.
Zek is in so many books. Junior Jedi Knights, he gets a mention. He's in all of Young Jedi Knights.
Wait, go up real quick. Is the dark? Oh, never mind.
He's in.
Yeah.
He's in
Okay.
a huge chunk of New Jedi Order. He's in Legacy of the Jedi.
Oh, wow,
He's in
he's-
Fate of the Jedi.
He
Like,
goes all the
is
way
a
to the end
definite
with this timeline. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Well,
Nice. There we go.
all right. Well, we all gave it pretty high scores. I wanted to give her room to move up the next two. Like you were like 9.5. Top that, Rebecca.
Yeah, top that. You
right.
know,
That.
so, but we will see. So, all right. Next week, we are, of course, reading Book 5, Vader's Fortress, and we're watching the 1985 Australian movie, Fortress.
Very excited.
So-
Very excited about this.
So, until the books are due back,
The library is closed.
Oh, I wish I could make like a do-back noise. Oh, well. Next time.
That's not really the noise
Just-
they make.
Do it in post.
Padawan Library is hosted and produced by Tim May and Levi Peretic. It is edited by Tim May. Our theme song is by The Astral Project. Our artwork is by Freddie Funbuns. Padawan Library is copyright 2021. Tim May and Levi Peretic. All rights reserved.